What's good is Lamont Holden, producer and professor of music, audio, and recording technology here at the University of Illinois, and this is Campus Culture Digital. Now today we have a very special guest, Professor of Dance here at the University of Illinois, and just dropped a book this summer, The Birth of Breaking, co-produced the influential dance video Detours, and is an actual real-life b-boy by the name of Midas. Please welcome Serouj Aprahamian. Welcome, man. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, first of all, what do you think that people need to know about you, right?
You summed up a lot of it right there, but yeah, I'm a dancer, I would say scholar, but yeah, my main background is just as a dancer and involved in underground hip-hop dances, breaking, but not only that, but you know, popping and freestyle dancing as well, stuff like that. So
the entire purpose of the book is to give rightful credit to Black creators of breaking. So what is your impetus for advocating for Black creators?
Well, I mean, there's two parts to that. I mean, first of all, as a dancer, I've been involved in breaking since the late 90s, and as a practitioner, we're always encouraged to know our roots, where this dance comes from, understand its meaning, and it was founded by African Americans, but that's something that's little known about. And as a dancer, I started realizing that, like, even in the community, that's little known about, just for basic factual reasons, and then obviously the ethical reasons of like seeing erasure happen. Again, something that's happened historically, like Black art forms, is disturbing as an Armenian. You know, as Armenians, we've had a history too that's been erased with like the genocide that happened against Armenians. Actually, right now, there's things happening in Armenia, ethnic cleansing and things going on that's not talked about in the news. So I know as an Armenian what it feels like and how dangerous and, you know, violent that erasure is. So once I realized that this was happening in the dance form I'm involved in, you know, I felt a bigger obligation to do scholarly things to try to rectify it somehow, you know. It's crazy, we think about the past, like, you know, everything from jazz to rock and roll, and we see this cycle happen where art forms coming from the Black community get whitewashed, get erased, the founders get buried in obscurity, when it's so like irrefutable where it comes from, you know. And it's like something like that happening in the hip-hop dance, and it was like unbelievable to me. I thought that was something in the past growing up, but it's like, you know, to some degree still happening now, you know.
Breaking and rap started in the same place, but they've had this divergence in popularity and practice. Why do you think that is?
You know, it's a little speculative, but I think dance generally, it's outside of just the hip-hop realm, dance in general is kind of marginalized in society, you know? It's hard for me to really say. I think the main thing is for some reason dance is kind of, even a lot of, let's say, musical forms that come out of the Black community, like jazz, rock and roll, funk, they always have a dance component central to its beginnings, but those are also like kind of not as uplifted by mainstream society. In the community there, it's always there, present, you know? The same thing with hip-hop's beginning, is very much oriented around movement and music and rhyming and art, but the dance thing, once it enters the mainstream, gets pushed to the side. And I think that's something to do with Western society devaluing dance, you know? Whereas in like Afro-diasporic forms or even other cultures, that's not the case. But in the West, dance is marginalized for a host of reasons that we can get into, I guess. But I mean, yeah, it's crazy.
What do you think has been capitalism's impact on the art of breaking?
Yeah, I think that's another great point. I think that might relate to the earlier thing. I think maybe they can't package dance the same way as, let's say, a MP3 or a CD back in the day, and music is seen as more of a profitable avenue, and that's why it gets pushed, and other elements might be marginalized. But at the same time, you have things like TikTok today, which are like the biggest social media app, a lot of times rooted around dance. You know, a lot of viral hits get built off dance. Once money enters, also, like, it tends to skew things in a certain way, geared of just profit making rather than community, rather than expression. And that happened to the breaking in the 80s. You know, a lot of breaking actually did have a big splash. One of the first elements of hip hop to make a big splash, even before rap, some would say. Like in the sense of being popular on movies and TV. But it got exploited, it got treated like a fad, it got treated like a spectacle to sell product. And in that sense, capitalism has had a big effect on breaking and all styles of hip hop dance. So much of society is built around that, right? Like we're all forced to kind of figure out how to survive, and to survive you have to make money, to make money you have to work within this system, and in that process people lose integrity a lot of times. If you don't know how to kind of like value and defend your interests, like you end up kind of just falling by the wayside and doing just, like you said, halftime shows or commercial gigs, which I don't knock that necessarily, but you know, like you said, the people who do this art form, who have the creators, first of all, definitely didn't do it for money. There was no money then. And then as time has gone on, those who've kind of maintained it and contributed to it don't get involved for money purposes initially. But then once that money factor enters, things could get shifty. But you know, at the end of the day, the community and the the value the dance gives you is like super special and important and not to like take for granted. And I think that's why you see the dance all over the world. I mean, nowadays there's like no urban area in the world in the sense of like a city or gathering where there's a lot of people. You see breaking, you know, every continent in the world. And I think that's not because of money. People sometimes say it's because of commercial movies and things like that. That might be somewhat true, but what keeps it going is that community, the power the dance has, you know. And to understand that power, you have to go back to the roots of where it comes from and the values and aesthetics and practices that were put into it from day one.
This year we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of hip hop. How do you feel about the way that breaking has been represented in these celebrations?
Yeah, I mean, not just breaking, but also the amazing things. There's so many hip hop dance styles that keep continuing to develop. But yeah, like the dance is often missing. That is almost taken for granted, I think, by a lot of people in the mainstream. I think a lot of people, when they think of hip hop, they think just of rap music. It was a cultural movement, and it still is a cultural movement, and it has all kinds of different components that continue to evolve. Unfortunately, the breaking part has been generally missing. You know, I think you could say that objectively, looking at the different celebrations. There's some, you know, symbolic representation here and there. But overall, from conferences to concerts to gatherings and symposiums, it's like usually focused on rap music, you know, and that's not like a knock against rap music. It's just the unfortunate state of things that dance kind of just is ignored. I mean, the book is about why you can't really even understand hip hop music without looking at dance. I mean, it was so integral to how the music developed, and vice versa. You can't understand the dance without understanding the musical choices and practices that spark the dance. So it's this kind of like whatever, you know, like a cycle that's affecting each other.
I went back and watched the evolution of hip hop on that, and I remember as they were talking about how it was so raw as an art form, as Flash is developing and kind of, you know, making it more of something that is a technique that has rules, that has a way of existing and going. As they cut to the shot, it's guys like getting this together, right? And it's just like, in the same way the Flash is figuring out rotations, you're figuring out how the body works to this movement, you know what I'm saying? So it's really that integral thread, and then you look at the landscape now and just think it feels like more of a novelty unless you meet, because that's why when I introduced you, I used the phrase real life b-boy, because there are none, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot out there. I mean, there's few that are like real connoisseurs, real people who I guess have lived it and try to really dig into it, you know. But there's few of you, you know what I mean? Like people like yourself who are, you know, real technicians and scientists and thinkers behind the music and everything that you do, you know.
Appreciate it.
But I take that as a big compliment. Thank you for that. You know, I'm a real life b-boy.
How does honoring Black creatives align with your mission here at the University of Illinois?
My mission here is like, you know, to do research, to continue teaching, and to continue growing and learning. I mean, so much of American culture, period, it comes from the Black community, you know what I mean? That's just like a fact, and it's important to recognize that, pay homage to it, and respect that, you know? So, I mean, I think I try to do that with everything I do, not just things related to breaking or hip-hop, but, you know, all avenues. Even like, you know, in the dance department, we talk about a lot of contemporary dance and things, concert dance. A lot of concert dance has been influenced by Africanist aesthetics and things like that. So we try to, not just myself, but many people in the department here, definitely put an emphasis on that. Racial justice in general, you know?
What is your definition of campus culture?
The campus is a unique space in society, like at least theoretically, where there should be dialogue, discussion, critical thinking, you know, exchange. You know, there's so many people from different backgrounds that kind of meet on a campus as a space, and I think the culture, it should just be a place for open thinking, critical thinking, and innovation, really, you know? So to me, that's the culture of a campus, like being a student, asking questions, learning, and trying to progress society in a certain way.
In a second, we're going to get a chance to go into your dance studio, see your work, see some of your students. What are we going to see?
Well, actually, right now we're focused on popping. So another, you know, influential style that has affected hip-hop dance overall. So we're going to see some popping, you know. We're specifically focusing on a style called boogaloo and, you know, twist-o-flex, which is like isolating the body and a lot of twists and turns. And so we're going to be seeing some stuff like that. The book is available through the publisher, and it's on Amazon and things like that. But if people just Google The Birth of Breaking, it should come up. But the publisher is Bloomsbury Academic, and myself, I mean, you can find me through the department website. Just search my name, Serouj Aprahamian, and I'm on Instagram as King_Mightiest, MIGHTYOUS. It's a little play on my dance name Midas. So King_Mightiest on Instagram, and just Google me, and you can find my email and whatnot.
Appreciate you. That's Campus Culture Digital, Serouj Aprahamian. We out.